It's that time of the day. It's Talking Pints. And I think actually, it's a bit of a celebration, really, isn't it? Because it's come home. Yes, the England football team have won a major football championship, but it wasn't the men. It was the women that did it, and Peter and Steph Shilton joined me. Should we just say well done to the England
Definitely, yeah.
I mean,
they deserved it. Very much so.
Pretty good, wasn't it? Cheers.
I have to apologise, mine's Coke, but I had a hip-hop about 2 weeks ago, so I normally have a pint. That's my favourite.
Well, we don't force anybody on this show, Peter, I can assure you. How good was that yesterday?
It couldn't have been any better, really. I thought it was a great game. A bit more physical to start with than I've seen women's football. The Germans, I thought, tried to knock us off our stride. But right through the tournament, the football they played, attacking football, and their attitude towards the game was superb. I thought, there was no play acting, very few moans at the referee. It was just good, open, honest football.
Yeah, not many prima donnas, nobody with a silly show-off haircut. Well, that's what I thought about it.
Yeah.
And they all seemed genuine and nice, and the joy seemed real.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes, not you, of course, in your day, but I do wonder sometimes with our football players, has just the sheer amount of money spoilt it ever so slightly?
I think there's an element of that. You get a little bit, I think the word prima donnas, you do get a bit of that, I think, and a lot of play acting, and players going down for no reason in football these days, which I think spoils it. I think the crowd appreciated the honesty of the women's game. Personally, I think it's down to clubs and managers to sort their own team out, and cheating isn't part of the game, and if you're trying to go down in the box for no reason, that's cheating.
Yeah, gamesmanship's one thing, but cheating is a
there's
very
always a bit of gamesmanship.
Because that's psychology, and it's crazy. And Steph, I mean, how did you feel yesterday watching it?
I loved it, because obviously when I met Peter, I thought he was a musician, as one would.
Couldn't be far from it.
So my knowledge of football has had to escalate very, very quickly. But I loved it. Yeah. I love the fact that they can make decisions very quickly and the pace of them. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
How good are goalkeepers are they? Come on, be honest.
I was really impressed with the goalkeepers. Mary Earps, I thought, was very commanding in the air, which, to be fair, I would say, I've got to be honest and say, I've always felt that maybe the goalkeeping area in women's football has always been a little bit of the weakness, but not yesterday. And both keepers, I thought, did really well.
I think you're one of millions, you see. I think a lot of people were a bit sceptical about women's football. And the number of people I got texting me saying, oh, my goodness me, I love this. It was terrific. So, I mean, let's hope it leads on to something.
Yeah, I mean, we've been following women's football,
Lionesses, we've been
Lionesses,
following for a long time.
We have done. And Jill Scott, she sent us a few texts thanking us for things we've said.
Yeah.
So we're not sort of new to the game, but obviously it's progressed beyond. This is the start of women's football. I mean,
let's hope that's right.
Let's hope so. Yeah. I mean, if it's not, there's something wrong.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it probably is. Something says to me that it probably is. And if it inspires, a couple of million young girls around the country to start wanting to play football.
Well, I think it's done that already, but what they want really is sponsorship, money coming into the game that's obviously going to help progress it and help the youngsters right down the chain.
Yeah, no, Pauline was making those points just a few moments ago. Peter, your career, amazing career. I mean, 125 caps for England, over 1,000 first-class games, more than anybody's ever managed to do. Big highs, big lows, I guess.
Yeah, well, 30-year career, you're going to have those sort of moments, and obviously, some great highs, winning 2 European Cups, as it's now Champions League.
For those watching us on telly, we're seeing Peter through the years.
I've left the curly wig at home now. But, obviously, won 2 European Cups with Nottingham Forest, and obviously for England, got very close to getting in the World Cup final on a couple of occasions.
Yes.
But no,
We are not, by the way, because today's a day to celebrate all things football. We will not be showing the Maradona clip, all right?
Well, that's a good thing, really, because it was the greatest player in the world getting away with cheating and not apologising, which is, I think, the worst.
Never did he?
No, never did, because whatever reason, I thought he played up to the crowd a little bit. But you know, that's he cheated. I was getting the ball, and you know, a lot of people know that and don't respect him for that.
No, well, it's obvious, isn't it? And Peter, what happens when when football's been your life? You know, as a professional, a true professional, which you were. When you have to retire, it must feel like you're bereaved.
To a certain point. I mean, I finished with England on a high after 1990 World Cup when we got to the semi-final.
I know.
I'd been there 20 years and I felt it was the right time to go out. I didn't want to be one of those players that got dropped and left out because I was too old. So, you know, I was happy with my England career. And, and, you know, once I knew that, you know, I wasn't really enjoying it as much as, you know, and as you get older, you know, every single mistake you make, oh, he's too old, his age, you're leaving yourself open to criticism. I mean, I've always had criticism being a goalkeeper, but, you know...
You can't do right, can you?
No. I mean, I remember we played Nottingham Forest in the semi-final of the European Cup, and we were 2-0 down at home against Cologne, which was unheard of, and got 3-2 in front. They brought on a Japanese player, I can't remember his name, who in the last couple of minutes turned and hit a shot, and he was going to bounce in front of me, but kept low, and it sort of hit my elbow, and it was 3-3, you know, and I picked up the paper next day and it says Japanese sub sink Shilton. So I thought I was going to... Unfortunately, we beat 1-0 over there and got to the final.
But you went through all that. I mean, the level of public exposure that your mug had.
Yeah.
You couldn't go anywhere. You were mega famous. You were doing well. You weren't quite earning the money that they earn today, but you were doing all right.
Yeah.
You were doing all right. And then a problem that befell you, which seems to befall so many people, sports people, and the more famous they are, it seems the more the problem of gambling befalls them.
Yeah.
Is that because you finish up not being able to go out and live a normal life, you're spending time on your own? Where does the gambling thing... why is it so common in sportsmen, is really my question.
Yeah. Well, I think sportsmen live on a high, you know, they when they perform. I mean, I started playing for Leicester when I was 16, regular 17. You know, you obviously it's changed completely since then, gambling. I mean, the industry now is out of control. But as a person betting, I think, you know, you get a lot of spare time to relax when you're playing football. You've got to train, but then you've got to relax. You've got to put your feet up, ready for the next game. And it's a bit boring at times, so it's quite easy then just to start. If you've got that inkling to start picking up the phone, or I mean, these days you have phones. When I started,
so easy now, isn't it?
Yeah, so easy now. It's even more so. And I think that's really the temptation. And once you get into it, it can overtake you very quickly. We're not against, you know, gambling as such, but you know, we do know that there's more and more addicts, which I was for 45 years all in. But obviously, it got worse, probably more when I finished playing football and the internet came in. And, you know, it's a real problem. And you do get people saying, well, I can have a tenner on, what's the problem, and all this. But the problem is that it's ruining people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it like
suicides every day? And that's why,
you know, it's like a drink, isn't it? You know, for most people,
drugs, anything.
For most people, a drink's not a problem, but for some, it's absolutely catastrophic and ruinous. And gambling is very similar, because for most people, it's a tenner on the national, or whatever it is. But,
I think Nigel, sorry to butt in, but I do think, in answer to your question, with sportsmen and footballers, with a gambling addict, there's a huge element of a secret life. So it's a secret addiction, it's a hidden addiction. And I think in the nature of what their social life is like, they have to be quite introvert, don't they, within, you know, when they're not playing. And I think
'cause you can't live a normal
gambling
life.
would give them that massive high that they would get from football, but at the same time it will give them that false solace of you know, being on their own.
So he was gambling for 45 years.
Yes.
Has he stopped?
Yes, 7.5 years ago.
Yeah.
But we didn't just run off into the sunset, Nigel, and live happily ever after.
No.
It was a mountain we climbed.
So how did he stop? How did he stop? How did you get him to stop? Or how did he get himself to stop?
I think obviously I recognised there was a huge problem, and I opened a bank statement and then found the extent of his losses and how chronic it was, which then enabled me to be able to openly try and talk to Peter about it. But I think really I sort of brainwashed him. He said I was a bit like a manager of a football club. So I started using...
Who would you compare it to?
I started using...
Brian Clough.
I think I was a modern Cloughie. I started using the word lose on a daily basis as opposed to win, win, win.
Which is what bookmakers throw at people all the time. Everything's win, win, win.
And also, I started to plant, different ideas into his head, like, you're never going to win, and the whole time you're doing this, we can't do this, and we can't live
get married
on
and
that. We
things
can't
like
get married. I said the whole time it's in our life, because to me it was like him having an affair. It was like a third party was involved in our relationship, which is quite a common feeling for loved ones that are living with a gambling addict.
And I think the biggest thing you lose, besides money, because nobody wins at gambling, or very small. I mean, one of the big CEOs of a gambling company says, was 99 point something of punters lose. So I think because I fell in love with Steph and vice versa, and I didn't want to lose her. That helped me, obviously. But I was getting a little bit where I was thinking, well, you never win. All your football career is about winning trophies, winning, training hard, but you never win. So why are you spending so much time and effort on something that you only lose at?
See, but that was the little voice in the background planting that in his mind. So he was starting to turn around. So that's what happened, Nigel.
So the positive in your life became a negative in your life.
Yes, very much so. I think obviously Steph had an NHS background, and she called it an illness as well. I've had people in the past come to me and say, Peter, you should be stopping this. You've got a problem and all this. And when what fuels gambling is money. If you've got money coming in, that will fuel gambling. You will gamble whatever you've got coming in, and it kind of fuels the addiction to a certain degree. But if somebody tells you, look, no, you go, no, I haven't, because I know I've got money coming in, and I might get it back. And that's the big thing that happens. And unfortunately, it's getting worse and worse, especially suicides, which is the reason I actually came out. Like, we wrote a book last September called Saved, from my side of it as an addict, and Steph's side of it as somebody who's with a loved one.
And the plan now is to help others, yeah?
It is, because we need to change the language around gambling addiction. We need to see it as a mental health illness, what it is. It is on the increase, because unfortunately, as you know, Nigel, particularly in football, it's being normalised, to have a bet, which is worrying. But I think, my message, obviously, in the work that I'm doing, is to try and reach out to parents and loved ones and make them aware that the small amount, it can be a big problem.
And where should they go? Where should people go for help?
Well, I'm an ambassador, and I work as a therapist for an addiction charity called ARA. So there's an awful lot of help out there. But again, we need to get rid of the stigma. So a lot of the work that I do is, is to go out and raise that awareness, Nigel, of how serious the problem can get, and how to look at it as an illness.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
It couldn't have been a better day for you to come in on
Of
Talking
course,
Pints.
on a high. And
we'll finish off by saying, well done, England.
well done.
Well done, England. Very
here's
good.
to the
Thank you. Great to see you
Here's to
both.
the lady.
Thank you.